Well, good morning. I have officially started my journey back up to Bend, Oregon in the van. I spent about, I don't know, maybe 12, 16 hours in Santa Barbara. Got to be there for their big festival every year, Fiesta, and my siblings were there, and my siblings were actually headed up north. So yesterday we caravanned from Santa Barbara up to Monterey. First and longest trip in the van, and it went pretty well. I did not document any of it because I was pretty much nervous about the van the whole time, and wasn't thinking too much about cameras and that kind of stuff. But made it to Monterey. A few little hiccups, nothing major. The van made it, and it's still running this morning. So today my plan is to drive up to Trinidad, which is just south of Redwoods National and State Parks, and then figure out from there what I'm going to do the final day. So hopefully I'll keep the GoPro on hand today so I can do some quick shots out the window and stuff, but it might just be a little bit of a boring video of me talking. We'll see. But here we go. Okay, so I have been driving the van the last couple days. I ended up going to Eureka. My plan was to get to Trinidad, which is just south of Redwood National and State Parks. And I made it to Eureka and decided to stop there because I was having some issues with the van. And Eureka's, ooh, I think I just saw a raspberry. It's not a very good one though. I'm having some issues with the van, nothing like serious or major, but it's running a little bit hot and having a few other minor issues, but I'm pretty sure it's going to make it up there. So I called the mechanic this morning when I woke up in Eureka, and he didn't have any space for me, but we did talk on the phone for like 15 minutes. He kind of got a gist of what's going on, some of the symptoms, and kind of gave me some pointers for things to look at and to look out for. And so check some things out. Drove just a little bit up the coast to Redwoods National and State Parks, where I am hiking now, kind of killing the daylight hiking, because in order to kind of prevent it from overheating, I am going to try to just drive in cooler hours, so late at night and early morning. So we're gonna finish up this hike. We'll see plenty of footage from it because it's beautiful, and I've been taking out my camera and GoPro like crazy. Alright, a little bit of an update here. You saw I got to hike in the Redwoods a little bit yesterday and was going to drive when it was a little bit cooler. So I rested in Crescent City for a little while and ended up hitting the road just about 8:30 or so when it was starting to cool down. And my goal was to make it to Prospect, Oregon, which is where I currently am, Prospect, Oregon. So things kind of went to plan, but they also kind of didn't. I was, hearing a few funny noises and stuff with the van, and then just about 10 miles out of Prospect, there was like a clunk, a real jarring noise from the van, and it was weird. And I kept going a little bit, and then it happened again, and then I basically broke down. I don't have a third gear anymore. Third gear is not working, so it's probably going to be a clutch or a transmission issue, which both of those kind of suck.
So I'm here in Prospect, a tiny little town. They've got a hotel, cafe, and a firehouse, basically. The van is, I wouldn't feel safe trying to drive it any further, so I have called AAA and I'm getting it towed to Medford. And from Medford, I'm gonna probably leave it there while the mechanic is working on it. The mechanic said it would take a couple weeks to get to, and then I'm gonna find some sort of public transportation up to Bend from there, because I have to be up there by tomorrow night. So yeah, pretty sucky day. I slept in this parking lot here. Oh, and the kicker to the evening, as if breaking down wasn't bad enough, I noticed when I stopped for gas about 80 miles prior that I was like a little bit dizzy or lightheaded. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, I'm probably just tired. I grabbed a coffee and then got back on the road. But when I got here, I was still dizzy, maybe even a little bit more dizzy. And the only thing I could think of was maybe there was an exhaust leak into the cab of the van, and I had inhaled some carbon monoxide. I was dizzy, like maybe very slightly nauseous, but I couldn't tell if the nausea was just from like being nervous about the breakdown and about potentially having carbon monoxide poisoning, or just general nausea. And then it's just a slight headache, so I didn't have all the symptoms, but I had enough for it to be a worry. And then, as I mentioned, there's a firehouse here in town, so I walked over to the firehouse and tried buzzing on the door, seeing if I can get a paramedic to come out. I didn't. I ended up calling 911. First time I've ever done that in my life. So I waited for about 45 minutes on the steps of this firehouse just across the street for paramedics or an ambulance to come or something. And after 45 minutes, I was walking around and feeling normal, and so I just called them off. And I called them off, walked back to my car. Just as I was getting to my car, I saw them pull in, so like I just barely called them off in time, which I'm okay now. So I'm glad that I did that, because I did not want to accrue any major ambulance fees, since I'd possibly have the cost of a transmission here to pay for. But got back to the van. I opened up all the windows that I could, and just made sure it was aired out. Obviously you can't smell carbon monoxide, but I aired it out really well. And then I set an alarm for 1 hour. I sent a friend my location, and they set an alarm for 1 hour. And I tried to lay down and sleep. I think I did fall asleep a little bit. And then after the hour went off, I went up and walked around, made sure I didn't have any symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning, and I was good to go. So I slept through the night. Called AAA this morning, tried to negotiate getting it towed all the way to Bend, but not going to happen, so I'm going to be towed into Medford, as I mentioned. This might be all you see from this episode, and if it is, then hope you enjoyed it, and hope that the next episode will be a little more positive for me. But yeah, thanks for watching.